I know I hear this a lot, man. There's a lot of rough cities out here. Philadelphia, DC. I'm gonna start doing these cities, man. What's the cities? What's the dangerous cities? It's going to be one of my series. I'm gonna start doing. What cities are dangerous? So this this week I'm gonna focus on Baltimore and Chicago. Both of these places are some shitty areas. I only been to Chicago 3 times in my life, but I haven't been around. The time I went to Chicago, it was way back in the days when it had the same type of shit going on, but it didn't have this old block and all this type of shit. I had a clue about that type of shit when I went there. I went there in my late 20s, and then I went there in my 30s a couple of times. But I didn't frequent the areas that these places that they talking about. I never went to no projects and none of that crazy shit. So I went to see some bad bitches. I ain't gonna see nobody in the project. So I see enough of that shit in Baltimore. But I'm gonna read this article. The bloodiest toll from Baltimore, Chicago, soft on crime mindset, and that's why a lot of these places are so dangerous because of they don't care about the crime. They don't. They'll kill a they'll smoke some niggas and get right back out the same weekend. So they don't really care. So I'm gonna read this article. Too many families in two of America's most dangerous cities, Baltimore and Chicago, will spend this holiday season in hospitals and funeral homes. Last weekend, the two cities saw more than 50 people shot and 8 killed. The violence includes two mass shootings defined as a single incident in which more than 4 people are shot. In Chicago, 13 people were wounded earlier Sunday morning at a party in the South Side neighborhood of Inglewood. Soon after, 7 were shot outside a downtown hookah lounge in Baltimore City. Blame the city's softness on crime. Baltimore is the more violent of the two, while Chicago violence level remains elevated with 508 murders through December 22nd. Both homicides and shootings have declined since a 2016 spike. In Baltimore, however, elevated levels of violent crimes have continued virtually unabated. At at the social press reports on Christmas Day, Charm City could end the year with an all-time high homicide rate as it approached the final weekend of the year. Just four homicides shy of its 2017 record of 342 killings. Many many in Baltimore politics class have tried to blame this on socio-economic roots cause, but these explanations fall flat. According to the St. Louis Federal Reserve, between 2014 and 2017, the city's poverty rate went down from 24.2% to 22.4%, and the unemployment rate during the same time period declined to 6.1% from 9.5%. Similarities after the 2016 homicide spikes in Chicago, many pointed to joblessness and insufficient education spending. But between 2010 and 2015, the period just precedes the spike. The public school systems per public spending jumped to 13,784 from 11,596. Black males' unemployment, meanwhile, saw dramatic declines before the spike. I don't believe these numbers. The more likely culprit of elevated violence: number one, sharp cuts in incarceration; two, prosec- what is that? Prosecutorial retreats from low level offense and drugs laws. I don't believe none of these numbers. I think they cook these numbers. A lot of these things that come from already built in policies that's been built out. They cut a lot of shit and people feel hopeless, so they go to crime. If you if you know you had the opportunity to make $3,000 to $4,000 a week, and don't have to look over your shoulders, don't have to go to jail, don't have to have 5 or 6 niggas looking for you with guns, have to wear bulletproof vests and things like that. It's already laws and shit that's been put into play that make it hard for these people to make a decent living, so they feel like they got to go to crime to support themselves. A lot of them, and that's how the shit starts. It don't make it seem like okay, is unemployment is down and this and that, but they still shooting. No, it's not like that. If you can, I say you can make $2,000, $3,000 a week, and stack some bread. Would you rather do that instead of having and be in areas where people not looking for you? You don't gotta ride around with bulletproof vests and shit on, and guns and shit on you. You'll make that $2,000 to $3,000 a week, stack that shit, buy a couple of houses, and live a comfortable life instead of getting involved in crime. It's not that many opportunities for people to make a decent living. You can't take care of no family with no $300-$400 a week. And these are the opportunities that they get these kids, and that's why I believe that there's a lot of trouble. But I don't know. I know Baltimore and Chicago is two shitty areas, and I wouldn't want to raise no kids in there. One of them, but I raised my kids in Baltimore, but they didn't live in. They didn't grow up in the They didn't grow up in housing projects and stuff like I did. They grew up in pretty decent neighborhoods. My kids grew up in decent neighborhoods. Then there's a prosecutorial retreat, particularly. Okay, I read it all that, which brings us to the third cause of elevated violence in both Baltimore and Chicago. Rollback and man, look at this. Look, listen to this. Rollback and proactive policies, according to U.S. Today, between 2014 and 2017, suspects narcotics offense reports by Baltimore policies dropped 30%. Which these people like to play with words, man. It's just that there's shitty opportunities for these people, and that's why they feel like they gotta go to crime to get their bills and shit paid to take care of their families. That's all, man. In Chicago, the number of monthly stops conducts by police dropped below 10. They think just locking motherfuckers up is gonna solve the problem, man. The motherfucker risk getting locked up and killed to take care of his family, just like a animal will risk getting killed to feed his kids. It's the same thing. It's all about survival. It's all about survival, man. Support the channel.